teams that are in the top 10 drafting this year, okay? 49ers were the second pick of the draft last year. So although they lost the Super Bowl, let's remember that 1 year ago today, the San Francisco 49ers were a team that everybody talked about being atrocious. They were a team that 2 years ago going into the season, they had a quarterback in Jimmy G that was brought out there, was undefeated. They were being talked about as being this all-time great team, ready to make a run. Jimmy G in the third week zigs instead of zags, tears his ACL. They stink completely. Number 2 overall pick. They obviously pick up Bosa. This year they become an absolute buzzsaw until they run into the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl and lose. Next year, which team that is drafting in the top 10 could potentially go on the run like the Niners did? Let's go through it. Cincinnati Bengals, they're going to draft Joe Burrow. Although all the conversation right now is whether or not the Bengals will trade Joe Burrow or the pick to somebody else to pick up other first-round draft picks. I think they'll draft Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow will make their team automatically better. I think Joe Burrow will probably win 6, 7, maybe 8 games. Cincinnati Bengals are in a very difficult division. Lamar Jackson's still there. Ben Roethlisberger's coming back. The Browns, if they could ever get it together, are there. It's going to be a tough sledding there for rookie Joe Burrow, but I think they'll be better. I don't think they'll be the 49ers, though. Redskins, pick number 2. Nobody has a clue what's going to happen there. They were giving people fits the second half of the season with Dwayne Haskins at quarterback. We talked to Ron Rivera just 2 weeks ago. He said Alex Smith, who was a great mentor to Patrick Mahomes, is allegedly coming back and he's going to be healthy. Those two will compete for the starting job, but if anybody has any interest in Alex Smith, I assume they will take that, let him go, get some other picks. I don't think the Redskins will make a run just strictly because they're the Redskins and Ron Rivera can't be a magician so quickly. I think they win games. I don't think they become the Niners. The Lions.
Hey.
Matt Patricia, friend of the show.
Hey.
Matt Patricia, friend of the show. We like Matt Patricia a lot, but it just seems as if something in Detroit is always amiss, and that is going to be very difficult and tough sledding to get any wins there, especially with Aaron Rodgers still in town. Kirk Cousins is still in town, and whatever the Bears are going to do, let's assume that they're
It's hard to picture the Lions.
Number 4, the Giants. I think this team could potentially be the team that makes a run next year. One of them. I don't think they're the only ones in the top 10 picking in the top 10 that could potentially make a run next year, but the Giants have an incredible running back in Saquon Barkley. They have a very young quarterback, and if Joe Judge is worth a single damn as a head coach, they could potentially make a run, especially in an NFC East that does not have all the answers figured out around the division. The Dolphins, I think the Dolphins are going to be better. I don't think the Dolphins are going to go on the 49er run. I think they're about 2 years out from that. The Chargers, Diggs likes this team to go on a run if they can get a quarterback. Maybe they get Alex Smith. Maybe they get Cam Newton. Maybe they get Tom Brady. If they do that, whole different ball game. But in my eyes, unless they can secure a top quarterback, I'm not 100% sure they can go on a run. Carolina, I think Matt Rule, it's going to take a couple years, although I like Christian McCaffrey. The Arizona Cardinals. Now, there's a team that was giving people a lot of heartache. They were breaking hearts and breaking dreams towards the end of the season. Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury were starting to figure it out. Will Kyler Murray get better this offseason, or will he relax this offseason? That's the biggest question. Experience comes some wisdom, which could potentially come some contentment. If that happens to Kyler Murray, I'm not 100% sure. Big question mark, especially with the division they're in. Very good team surrounding them. Jacksonville, nobody knows. Nobody knows what's going to happen to them. And for me, the team, I don't want to do this. Come on. The team that is picking in the top 10 of the NFL draft that is going to go on a run next year. And maybe potentially scorch earth next year. The team that is going to have a massive come up. Oh, I don't want to say it. The Cleveland Browns. Okay? The Cleveland Browns. They were coached this year by a guy that shouldn't be coaching a JV team, okay? He was a great positional coach, but there was no reason in hell that Freddie Kitchens was a head coach, especially to a team that had that many personalities, that many egos, and that many potential problems. Freddie Kitchens was not the right hire. I think everybody realized that, including the Cleveland Browns, who have fired their 45th coach in like 7 years or whatever. So he's out. They bring in a Harvard guy, Stefanski. They bring in Andrew Berry as general manager, who I know, who is a very very, very impressive human being. They're changing the culture as much as they possibly can. If Baker Mayfield, who everybody's saying is maturing and changing, can somehow have a great offseason, become a better quarterback. If Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham can figure out how to buy into the system that Stefanski's putting in there. They have two very good running backs. If they can shore up that offensive line with a 10th pick, maybe get an offensive lineman, maybe something else. And with that defense, with Myles Garrett, the human, who took the helmet off of another professional athlete and hit him with it, and that defense can come back hungry, I think the Cleveland Browns, just like last year I said this, the Cleveland Browns are the team that can absolutely go on a run next year like the 49ers did in an AFC that's probably going to be dominated by Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, who's in their own division. I think they have enough weapons that they could potentially keep up with the good teams of the AFC, or they could be a complete dumpster fire because they're the Cleveland Browns. It's either the Giants or the Browns in my eyes, or the Chargers if they can get a quarterback. But aside from that, this could potentially be the Browns team to get a run.
Do you think they're going to shop OBJ, or do you think he's going to stay put?
I have no idea what the Browns are going to do, man. It's a lot of money to OBJ, right? Mm-hmm. I would assume Andrew Berry is going to take some phone calls with people who need a weapon and need a weapon quick. The Green Bay Packers need a weapon bad. Is Aaron Rodgers the right guy to kind of, keep OBJ a little bit more focused, maybe a little bit more dialed in? I would assume so. I would assume he would appreciate and respect Aaron Rodgers. I think LaFleur's offense could utilize another weapon. Devontae Adams, Lazard was good this year. Maybe get a tight end. They already got Aaron Jones at running back. Maybe OBJ to Green Bay is the right move. I'm sure Andrew Berry will take calls. But in my eyes, I still think with that defense the Browns have, the stable of running backs and Baker, Jarvis, and whether they have Odell or not, I think they could potentially make a run next year. But they're the Cleveland Browns. They are the Cleveland Browns. So it's the Giants or Browns in my eyes. Chargers if they can secure a big-time quarterback. Other than that, I don't think anybody else in the top 10 that's drafting can make a real run like the 49ers.